Hi everyone, I'm Byron. I'm now doing my spoiler review of The Last Jedi. It's amazing. Uh, I just ended the non-spoiler review trying to struggle to think of things to say that weren't spoilers, and now I can't think of anything that is a spoiler to say. The Emperor is back. He comes completely back to life. I don't know if it was his plan all along. There are legend drops. I said in the now spoiler review that I couldn't remember. I remember one now. One is the Darth Bane thing, and I'm going to tell you my opinion of what happened to Darth Bane, and it's the same as my opinion of what the Emperor means by one of his lines when he says, "All the Sith live in me." I think what he means is there is a consciousness of each Sith within him. If you've seen that Kurzgesagt video called "The Egg," it's sort of like that, where everyone is sort of the same within him. They, I guess, they do lose their identity. What is an identity? It's sort of a metaphysical question. You have to reckon with that. Does each Sith retain their identity as they pass on? But I don't think Bane, when he inhabited Xana, Bane did not inhabit Xana. Bane did inhabit Xana, but Xana was still there. He didn't replace Xana. He didn't obliviate Xana. He didn't send Xana into oblivion as he indwelt within her. But he did go into her, and he probably retained some consciousness, which I believe is what happened to Palpatine up until Palpatine, and it's what he wanted Vader to eventually do, and it sort of helps explain the rule too, because if your apprentice strikes you down, you kind of still live, literally, not just figuratively. Literally, you still live within the apprentice. And this destroys Darth Plagueis, though. Darth Plagueis' quest for literal eternal life. It sort of means that's not possible anymore. That can't be brought back into canon. But when Rey says all the Jedi live in me, she means in a spiritual sense, not, and they don't have their individuality. Let's just say they retain their individuality, for lack of a better word. Let's call what's retained in the Sith their individuality. I think I may have explained it well enough. And from this point forward, I'll call that their individuality. The individuality of the Jedi are not retained within Rey. But spiritually, they are. And they sort of exist cosmically as well. And there's a great line where the Emperor says, I forget what he said. I don't want to repeat it because unless I can get it perfect, well, I'll try. As I flamed the last Skywalker down a pit as I was flung, or something. When he kills Kylo Ren, he doesn't. The spoiler review. He doesn't actually kill him. He flings him down the pit, and he somehow survives. And what I didn't see that I wanted was I did not see. I'm kind of going from the back forward in this review, the spoiler review, because I saw the ending most recently. But I'm just going to go backwards from there. I did not see what I wanted, and that was Hayden Christensen. I wanted Hayden to sort of come back. I wanted him to sort of, as a Force ghost, interfere with Palpatine. Eckhart Slatter did a video on the original Return of the Jedi script where Yoda and Obi-Wan confront the Emperor as Force ghosts. And I was hoping something like that would happen. I was hoping that at least Hayden Christensen would be a Force ghost there. He wasn't. Probably the right choice. Just like it probably was the right choice for Return of the Jedi not to have it happen. It was definitely the right choice for Return of the Jedi. Here it made a bit more sense, but still probably not enough. Even though it's exactly what I wanted in that moment, but probably not right. But Hayden Christensen makes no physical appearance in this movie, but his voice does. Yeah, which is cool. And I did identify all the voices. I think Mace Windu had a voice. I hope Ki-Adi-Mundi was there too. I don't think he was. Yoda, Leia. Oh, maybe not Leia because Carrie Fisher's dead, so she could have done it. Or maybe they did use Leia's voice somehow. But Qui-Gon, I think Windu. I wasn't quite sure. Hayden Christensen, Luke Skywalker. I'm saying half of their names and half of their characters, half of the actors' names and half of the characters. Although Hayden Christensen, it's important to say that it's him doing the voice, I guess. Oh, there is a scene I did not like because you hear the voice of Darth Vader, which is James Earl Jones, and it doesn't sound like Darth Vader. It sounds like James Earl Jones. So that was kind of difficult. They didn't have the breathing as he was talking. I don't know. That was not as good. Um, back. Okay, so at the very end, Ray visits the Lars homestead, not the Skywalker homestead, the Lars homestead. I don't know if that's important to remember or not, but it's interesting. And it's the Lars homestead. She goes there, and what I think is going to happen next in Star Wars is that she founds the new Jedi Academy there. I think that's where the Jedi Academy is going to be. It's very similar. Not very, but it's a little similar to what happened in picking in my face, and what happened in Legends, where he founds the Academy on Yavin for some reason. All right, so she founds the Jedi Academy, and then Luke and Leia are there as Force Ghosts looking over her. Okay, Leia never went to the homestead. My big problem is why wasn't Hayden there? Why not? Why didn't they get Hayden Christensen? Oh, I'm so upset. I mean, she never saw Hayden Christensen, but then again, neither did Luke. I mean, Luke, who's this guy? He would say if he saw Hayden Christensen. Maybe he saw pictures, I don't know, of his father at some point before Return of the Jedi. He would have to have been before Return of the Jedi for it to see it during Return of the Jedi. Oh, I'm tired. I'm gonna try and upload these tonight, but it might not work. So I'll upload them in the morning. Oh, it's past midnight. It's way past my bedtime. Uh, Hayden Christensen, Emperor. The Emperor is very Dark Empire. The Star Destroyers can shoot Death Star guns, just like in Dark Empire. But instead of one Star Destroyer that can shoot a Death Star gun, it's thousands. So that's cool. Another planet gets blown up. There's a spy. I knew the spy was one of the two, either the new general or the old general. Turns out, you know what? I won't even spoil that, even in the spoiler review, because who cares? It's either the new general or the old general. It ended, the spy story ended in a surprising way, where he just kills the spy and is like, the spy's like, no, shoot me. Where's that from? Oh, it's from Rebels. Rebels, where Fulcrum, the Fulcrum guy, who's it's the one who did the things with that killed the honor guard, and got their weapon. Zeb, not Zeb, but the one who has a big rivalry with Zeb. He did the same thing, and he wasn't. He survived. But here, the spy says, "Hey, I hey, shoot me, so they won't know that I'm the spy." And they know immediately, and they shoot him. So the story just ends right there. That's the part I should have not spoiled, even in the spoiler review. It was fine. It worked, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a bit more from the spy. I would like mainly what I would like to have seen is him continue the story on in books and comics and stuff. His story. Um, the First Order is gone, and the Emperor is starting the Final Order. I have to say I don't care for the name of that. The Final Order. I would have preferred the Last Order. I think that would have been better. I think. Oh, and of course the big spoiler: Rey's a Palpatine. That was my theory from the start until The Last Jedi came out. When I liked the fact that she came from nowhere. I really did. And then they come here and they retcon it. And I don't like that so much. But then I thought about it. And you know what? I think I do like it. I like the arc it takes. I like how in The Force Awakens, she's like the mystical heir of some Jedi from the past. And then in The Last Jedi, oh wait, no, she's not the heir of the Jedi. She's just nobody who became a Jedi. But then in The Rise of Skywalker, she's not the heir of the Jedi, but she's not the heir of nobody either. She's the heir of a Sith now. So it's a nice progression that it takes from Jedi to nobody to Sith. And so that's why I don't really think it was a retcon. And I think maybe Rian Johnson left room in there on purpose because he specifically says your parents were nobody. He doesn't say you come from nowhere. And it was obviously going to be the grandkid of somebody. If it's somebody we knew, it had to have been a grandkid because she would have been born after Return of the Jedi. Unless she was going to be Luke's kid. Anyway, that was my theory after Force Awakens because her name is Rey. Rey means king, which makes her, the emperor herself. And Rey means king, not a Kenobi. Not a Kenobi. Oh, speaking of kids, Lando Calrissian. There was a line. The specific wording of the line I did not understand. I think there's a black girl who is basically Finn but black, but girl. Sorry, Finn but black. Finn is black. Finn but a girl. She was a stormtrooper that defected, and there's a lot of stormtroopers that defected. We find out, and so the defective stormtroopers, they would call them defective. No Phasma. I was hoping there would be a Phasma and that she would go down the same way she did in the first two movies. I hate that they did it twice and didn't do it three times. But build up as this big menace and then just boop, falls in a hole. They did that twice. Should have done it three times. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. Lando Calrissian. He meets the black girl and he says, "Where are you from?" Oh, the girl says, and he names a planet. The girl says, "Where are you from?" to Lando, and he names a planet. And Lando goes, "Where are you from?" And she goes, "I don't know." And he says, "Well, we can always find out." Which seems to me to be him saying, "I think I'm your daddy." But the way he says, there's a way I didn't understand why that turn of phrase would mean that. Like, we knew that's where the scene was going the minute they sat down together. So we didn't even need words. But again, we had the words. And let's face it, we could all be Lando Calrissian's kids. Anyway. We could all be Lando Calrissian's kids. That would have been a good place to end it, but I've got so much more to say. Chewie almost dies, but he doesn't. I didn't like that. Okay, you ever see Misery? Let's not even bring that up. I gotta bring it up now. In Misery, Kathy Bates complains about one of the serials she saw, where she goes how she hated, like, the cliffhanger was a car blowing up, and when they come back, the car didn't blow up, the guy escaped just in time. She goes, "No, you cheated. We saw the car blow up." And that's how I felt. That's what I hear whenever I hear people complain. But I honestly had that complaint about the barge blowing up and then Chewie still being alive. There were two transports. I didn't like that. The conflicts between Rey and Kylo were great. The way that the essence connection happened. A dyad in the Force was great, and how it expanded on that. So it's not the same thing as Force projection, but it is not the same thing as Force connection. And in fact, it's heavily implied that Snoke didn't do a thing to bridge their minds in Last Jedi. It is implied that it's just something they have because they are a dyad in the Force, and this is why the Emperor's Return is okay with me because it required the use of the dyad in the Force. He was nothing. He wasn't actually a person. He had no real power. He was. I compare it a lot to Voldemort, and at least in Goblet of Fire, he was just a shell. He couldn't. He had no real power, but he had to have something very special to make it come back to life. And of course, the entire Star Wars saga ends with a BMO war, but it's fun. And it has a nice Kenobi reference because she absorbs the lightning with her lightsaber, and which is what the only person we saw see do that up until now is Kenobi. So it's a good move. And Luke has a mullet when he's a Force Ghost, and when he comes back and he grabs the lightsaber as she's throwing it into the fire, that seemed very, very Chinese to me. I don't know why, but living in China seems Chinese. It felt Chinese. I like that Leia had a lightsaber. I like that Leia trained as a Jedi. We didn't know that up till now. I don't think we really knew that up until this point. But Leia trained as a Jedi, and her face was detected. Her face was actually reconstructed. They did digitally make a CGI Leia for this. Maybe it wasn't CGI, but they recreated Leia for this. But they recreated younger Leia and younger Luke. And they show a scene of Luke training Leia. And why train in normal clothes when you can train with big heavy masks on? Which was the thing I was thinking. And then they take their mask off and they had reconstructed the Luke and Leia. Let's see now. What else? So Leia dies. She uses force projection. I remember now. There is actual force projection. Leia uses it in the movie, and that's how she dies. Is through the same way Luke did, through force projection. And there was a very interesting bit where she doesn't disappear until Ben disappears. So that was cool. I think Luke must have showed Ben how to disappear. I think that's what happened. And Rey, another one of you cheated. Another one of those you cheated moments. Rey looked dead. That was a dead girl. You can't bring a dead girl back to life. But anyway, she wasn't just dying. When Rey brought Kylo back to life, he was dying. Rey was dead. Let's see. And I haven't quite figured this out. I haven't quite analyzed this enough, but I only know that I liked it, that Leia's body doesn't disappear until Ben's body disappears. That was sweet. And Leia wasn't a full Jedi. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. So, and the greatest cameo of all time, Wedge Antilles. Wedge Antilles made a cameo in this movie. He was a gunner. It was obviously some weird pickup shot, but I don't care. He was a gunner on the Millennium Falcon. That was incredible. And what I thought was going to happen from the trailers is those weird sort of amphibious Tusky guys. I thought they were going to be the Ewoks and the Wookiees of this, making sort of a last stand against the First Order. They were not. In fact, that was the planet that got blown up. They were destroyed by the Galaxy Gun. I don't know if they're called Galaxy Guns in this, but that's what they are. That's what it was. Well, it doesn't travel through hyperspace. Star Killer traveled through hyperspace. The Galaxy Gun traveled through hyperspace. These guns seem to have not traveled through hyperspace, but the ship can travel through hyperspace, can pew, pew, and then go back. So it's just as good as the beam itself being able to travel through hyperspace, which I believe is the reason why it could be seen from the planet they were on. It's because it was traveling through hyperspace, not real space. So it could be seen in a lot of different places because hyperspace is kind of everywhere. Anyway, that's my explanation for that scene in Force Awakens. So anyway, back to back it up, back it up. They're on Endor. I don't know if it's the forest moon of Endor, if it's just another part of the forest moon of Endor, or if it's another moon of Endor. It's another place where the movie is vague. But it was cool. I didn't care where it was. It could have landed on a different moon. I don't know how Endor works. Let's see. There was a big fight there, and Kylo Ren was actually literally. I don't know how that fight works. Let's go. Kylo Ren was literally on Endor on the Death Star, and that was a great scene where they fight. And Harrison Ford, the cameo of Harrison Ford, he comes as Ben's memory, and that's how you know that Ben is back because he can remember his father, and that's how you know that Ben is back. Oh, and when Rey takes both lightsabers, I mean, you knew it was happening even before. She didn't. She took both lightsabers, but when she took both lightsabers, you knew that Ben was going to show up and was going to need the lightsaber because you just saw him throw the lightsaber into the ocean. Why? Maybe they're. Although they do talk about how things are a little bit evil about Sith lightsabers, how they make the kyber crystals bleed. So maybe the Sith lightsabers are a bit evil, and you just can't have one. And so when Rey and Kylo are fighting, it's very interesting. I love that scene where Rey is in Kylo's throne room, artifact room, I guess. It's not his throne room. And Kylo is just on some planet, and they're fighting. Kylo's trying to figure out where she is, and then they destroy the pedestal he has the Master Darth Vader on, and he's like, "Oh, that was really cool. I loved that moment." And they can move objects through this link they have, um, which happened in Last Jedi because he got wet. His hand got wet. They can move objects. So and wet water is an object, so objects can be moved. So can lightsabers and necklaces and all that. I loved the boardroom scene. That was cool. I liked seeing the Emperor, Sword of Emperor, at the head of the Bella. Instead of just Tarkin, you saw the actual Supreme Leader, the actual Emperor. And I would like to see some stuff in between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. See him just emperoring about. That'll be fun to see. See like a Darth Vader actually becoming the Emperor. That's one of the things I look for Last Jedi is in Return of the Jedi said Luke Skywalker, the Emperor says, "Join me, strike me down, become Emperor yourself." And Luke's like, "No, I won't do it. I won't seize power." And Anakin goes, "Yes, I will seize power," but then he can't because he's legs chopped off. He can't do it. But then Kylo Ren says, "Yes, I will," and he succeeds in doing it. See, I like how they rhyme. And that's sort of the reason that the Return of the Jedi bit happened in Last Jedi rather than in the third movie of the trilogy because it can't happen in the third movie because it doesn't. There's no. You have to have another movie to conclude that storyline. I guess it could have happened in episode 3, but technically, if you plan the whole thing out from the start, maybe that beat could have happened in episode 3. No, I don't know. Oh, and I half expected Rey to be about to cut the Emperor down, and Kylo Ren to come in the way Darth Vader did on the Death Star and be like, ah. What was the opening? The opening crawl. What did it pan to? I forget. Oh, I need to go see it. I'm gonna see it tomorrow with some friends. I'm not gonna tell them I already saw it. I'm just gonna pretend I'm seeing it for the first time, so don't tell anyone. So I have expected him to come in and like it was the opposite. She's trying to strike him down. He's not being evil. He's just trying to. No, you're better than this sort of thing for Kylo Ren to say, or Ben Solo at this point. Also, why did Darth Vader do that? He's been trying to convince his son to kill the. Oh. Okay, so I've always wondered why did Darth Vader stop Luke from killing the Emperor? because he knew that if Luke killed the Emperor could then come inside of Luke. Yeah, that explains it. So I've always wondered that. Why does Darth Vader stop him? It's what Darth Vader wanted. Anyway, and another thing I wanted, in Pulp Fiction, why doesn't John Travolta shoot when Mace Windu, James L. Brooks, James Earl Jones, Samuel L. Jackson, when Samuel L. Jackson says, finishes his thing, if I was there, like, okay, this is what he says before he shoots the guy. When he finishes the story, he's going to shoot. He's going to expect me to shoot, so I'm going to shoot. That's what I would have been thinking. Why doesn't he shoot? I've never really liked the theory on Pulp Fiction that John Travolta's an idiot, but it seems the only way to explain to that scene, that little decision. Maybe he was like taking into account his reflections on his life and how he's not. Because Mace Windu was just talking about how he wasn't going to kill anymore. So maybe that was it. I don't know. So let's back it up even more. Bulio. Bad effects. Wasn't really in the movie. I don't know how it got leaked or why it was a big deal. You see him talking about it, and then you see his severed head. Everybody loves Bulio. That's not going to be happy. If a kid is like, I love Bulio, I love my Bulio toy. Oh God, I hope that kid doesn't exist. I hope they did not make, for the good of the kid, I hope they didn't make Bulio plushes. I hope it's just a little Lego plastic figurines they made. Back it up. They're looking for artifacts. They find the artifacts. Dagger's the key. Okay, I thought she was going to have to slot the dagger into something, but instead she used it as a measuring stick. Whatever. I like that Luke traveled with Lando. The Lando comic that's canon that has him on the Emperor's yacht with all the Sith artifacts that could come into play. So Luke and Lando had an adventure where they go around looking for Sith artifacts. That's cool. Like, I want to see that. I want to read that comic. I want to read that book. I want to see that show. Why did the lightsaber sink? I don't quite know. Quicksand seems to be a thing in J.J. Abrams' versions of Star Wars. Anyway. Set piece. I like the set pieces of Star Wars. What was the big set piece? Maybe the cave. The little cave they're going around in could be considered the set piece of Star Wars. It was cool. I liked the cave. I'll have to watch it again. Pay close attention to the cave. See whether I like it. Back it up. So we're on Bulio. Oh, there's some weird hyperspace maneuvers that I don't understand that I'm going to have to want to be explained to me and explained to me very carefully. The Force Awakens says you can't approach a planet at light speed. And Poe Dameron is able to do little micro jumps in systems, in planetary systems, and they do leave hyperspace in Jedha's planetary field as it's being blown up. But that's, I don't know. Don't know how hyperspace works. I don't know how hyperspace works because it doesn't exist. Anyway, cool scenes. Hyperspace. I don't see how. Why did the stars flash by? That's one thing I don't like. Why do the stars flash by if they're not in space? They must be going into outer space with the hyperspace. I wondered if they were going to different planets or they're going to the different parts of the same planet. And they must be going to different planets because that's the only way the stars could streak by. Anyway. And I think that's about it. Before that scene with Finn and Poe doing the little artifact, what are they doing? I forget what they're even doing. There's a scene. Oh, Leia is Rey's master. That's cool. She never becomes a Jedi. There's no like, do this and you will be a Jedi moment. There wasn't that in the prequels. We just show up again. It rhymes. We just show up in episode 3 and Anakin's a Jedi Knight at that point. And there's a big thing about him being a master. Um, Rather than just a knight. And he doesn't get to be a master. And in this one, there's no official making her a Jedi Knight. Official making of her a Jedi Knight. So and before that, it's a great scene, a great little montage of Kylo Ren chasing down the Emperor's stronghold. That is cool. That was cool. So that was it. Back to the opening crawl, which is the best opening crawl, I think. Maybe. I'm not gonna say it was the best. Go back to my non-spoiler review to see what I think about the opening, my opinions on the opening crawl, and what was so great about it. Yes. Oh, let me go ahead and tell you what. Hopefully, you watched the non-spoiler in this review. Let me tell you when I loved The Last Jedi, because I don't think I can remember it for any of the other movies. I told you when I began to love Star Wars itself, and when I began to love this movie. But let me tell you when I began to love The Last Jedi, and that was the scene where they're telephoning or hollowing Maz Kanata, and she says, "Go to see the man with the red palm bloom." And that was I'm like, all right, this is a great movie. I sort of was able to relax in that moment because it reminded me that it was a movie and it was just for fun. That was sort of a meta thing on that one, but I loved that moment. It's not the best moment of the movie, but it's the moment that reminds you, hey, this is just a movie, and I do love that movie in spite of that. If I had gone into the movie more relaxed and that scene wasn't in there, I think I would have liked it just as much. Anyway, I've seen Star Wars, and this is actually the first Star Wars movie I did not see with my dad. He's still alive. Fine, I'm just in a different country. Um, yeah. Um, he saw Star Wars movies without me though, but I wasn't born yet. Um, so yeah. I guess. And I tried to find some resonance about not seeing it with my dad in the movie, but it wasn't really there. Anyway, I guess this is for my dad. Bye.